Thank you all so much for stopping by today. So today I want to get out here and do a little bit of garden maintenance. And garden maintenance is based on the type of garden you have, what you plan on doing. But that's something that you really want to put in your garden routine as much as possible. And today what I'm talking about is I'm talking about deadheading. I like to at least, I'm not going to sit up here and say I do it once a week because it just depends on the time of the year and what's growing on in the garden. But I at least try to do it like every other week, if not like once a month, just to kind of rejuvenate my plants, have them looking good throughout the growing season. And then it also helps encourages new blooms, especially if the plant is like a continuous bloom type plant. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around real quick. I'm going to tell you about, first, let me walk over here and show you some of the plants that I'm going to kind of, just deadhead, get off any spent blooms, any dead branches or anything like that. So I'm going to do that, but I also want to tell you about this plant. I actually put these in our old garden maybe last fall, and I'll tell you about it in just a second because I actually found the same ones a couple of weeks ago, and I know what they do, and I'm gonna try to flash a picture up, but they're just so pretty, and they're perennials, which means that they come back year after year. So, but first, let me turn the camera around. Let me show you what I'm going to be doing. And I'm just going to work in phases because the garden is not built. So I probably could get this all done probably within the hour, just going through the plants and deadheading them and just making sure, just they'll keep blooming until I actually get them planted into the garden. Okay, so if you haven't already took a peek in previous videos, this is where I have just kind of been stockpiling the plants. Chris is not very happy with it. He wants me to move them, and I will move them. One plant, this verbena, did check out because a couple of days I wasn't able to get over here, and so it checked out. So I'll be putting that away. But what I wanted to do was deadhead, just take off some of the spent blooms of some of the plants right here. I'm really watching this, but the only reason why I'm leaving this one right here is because I see that new growth is coming down at the base of the plant. And this is a Speedwell Veronica, and they are perennials too. So even if these don't make it, let me get a little bit closer. You still can see some starting to come back at the base. I also want to clean up some of this is a penstemon right here. I got these at a plant sale, and if y'all have been following us for a while, you'll notice that most of my flowers are purples and pinks. This one was actually red, and it just caught my eye because I saw so many hummingbirds like flocking to it, so we ended up getting 3. But they took like a little hit too during the time that I couldn't get over here. So I'm just gonna clean these up, clean the butterfly mint up. This is also a perennial too. They're holding on. They are really, really holding on. But they're perennial, so that's good. And then I'll clean this salvia up as well. But let me show you the plants that I am going to be deadheading today that are just so beautiful. As a matter of fact, we'll just walk right back over here, and I already have them on the table, and I have my snippers. And one thing that I gotta tell y'all is when you're doing this, make sure you sanitize them between the cuttings, because you don't want to like transfer or introduce any type of disease or fungus or anything like this. So these are opening act phlox, and I've always known phlox to kind of, some of the older fashioned ones, they're very pretty, but sometimes they get weighted down or fall over, especially like with winds and rains. I'm going to flash a picture up of these same ones in the garden that was in Savannah. Like, I put them in during the fall, which is hopefully I can get them in once we have our garden plan done. I put them in the fall, and they were just kind of like this, but I did just clean them up a little bit and deadhead. But let me just tell you, like, they're still producing some flowers, but let me tell you, I went back through my phone, and in March of last year, they were seriously an opening act. This is the perfect name for them. They were so beautiful, and it was kind of like a neon ultra pink that graced this garden. If I'm able, I picked up 5 from the big box stores, but if I'm able to find some more, because they actually had another one, but I just knew about these and I didn't pick those up. I probably should have, but anywho, I'm gonna go over the process of deadheading, and I'll show you how I'm going to cut these. But these were so beautiful in the garden, and so I'm also going to clean up this cone flower right here, because I don't know what's going on right there, but we're going to clean this up. We're just going to clean these plants up, because although the blooms have been spent and they look dead, the plant is still using energy to all of this, and so we want to kind of redirect this energy elsewhere in the plant, you know, maybe down here, maybe putting on a few more blooms, but just clean it up, because it just looks so much better too. Like after the blooms have been spent, I just like to go through the garden and clean things up to just make them look nice and tidy. Here is another phlox that I picked up. These right here, y'all. Oh my God, this color. I think it is coral. Oh, let me look at the side, because they actually, okay, this is coral flame phlox, but it's pretty. It's really, it's not really it's like a, I don't know if this camera can pick up the color for you, but I had to pick these up. I was like, I cannot leave these here behind. So we got 5 of those too. Now they don't get as tall as the other ones, but and I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. I specifically told myself, don't just be picking up plants to pick them up. Have a plan for where you're going to put them. And I just totally, when I saw this color, I just totally was like, okay, but let me just get these. And this First Love Speedwell, now these are all by Monrovia right here, and the other one was Proven Winners, but this Speedwell right here, when I tell you the pollinators are all over this, they love it. I don't want to cut back as much now. Like, it is getting a little leggy. I do want to cut it back some, but I just love seeing like all type of pollinators on this plant all throughout the day. I don't know if you can see some of them flying, but normally it's just so many. And these are all perennials as well. You see things flying, but I don't know if you can really see. But I do need to deadhead those, but I won't do it, or either I'll just do it a little bit at a time. For example, like some of these that are really spent like this, I'll take them off. But then some of the ones that still have some of the pink on there, I'll leave them for the pollinator. So let me just show you my thought process and how I kind of deadhead things to make them look neat, to make them look tidy, and to get that energy going back into the plant so that you know, they can continue to produce. So these will, once we got our plan going, these will go in the, I don't know if I'm gonna put them in the raised bed or the ground, because Chris and I was measuring last night where we want to kind of start the garden, and it's gonna be pretty much, let me walk this way so you all can see. It's pretty much gonna be, you know, maybe this hydrangea is kind of like the point of where it's gonna start as far as how far back, but it's pretty much gonna go like all the way over to the fence eventually. But we were trying to find the center, because I want to have like a beautiful arch that and we just figured the center is going to be this gate, because we kind of measured, we just figured the center is going to be that the gate opening right there. But what I want to do is go ahead, and it'll start right about here, is maybe put 2 or 4 raised beds, and then an arch that kind of like the other garden, that will be kind of like your entry. This is like the second squirrel I saw. I don't see too many squirrels, and that's probably, I was telling someone, we had an acorn tree, oak tree that produced the acorns in Savannah, so we always had squirrels, but these squirrels are on those pears like big time. So I do, that's like the second one, but I don't see them as much as I used to. So anyway, back to the deadheading, which is what we're supposed to be talking about, y'all. Let me show you, I've already sanitized my snips, and I'm just gonna just show you where I'm cutting, why I'm cutting. I don't like to cut too far back on the plant, and deadheading is different from pruning, but I still don't like to cut like too far. So I'll show you kind of like my thought process, just to clean these up and make them look good, you know, and just give the plant more energy. So let me go ahead and get set up, get my snippers, and then I'll just kind of talk through what I'm doing. Okay, so I just wanted to finish up one. As you can see, we left one little bloom that's over here, but some of them went down 1 to 2 leaf nodes. It just depends how tall it is. You really can't mess it up. I just kind of went down to just even it up a little bit. I mean, a couple of these I probably could go down just a little bit more, just to make sure everything's even, and I may after I'm done with the plant. But you see how this looks to me so much tidier than the ones with like all of the spent blooms. We're going to do that one in a minute, and some of the blooms that are starting we may have to, you know, sacrifice and cut off as well, but if they're part of the stem that has already spent blooms, and I make that decision as I'm cutting. So we're gonna get all of these cleaned up, and then I'll show you how all of them look when we're done just with these plants right here. I'll do the other ones later, but I just really wanted to just kind of go over the importance of just making your garden look tidy. Make this part of your garden chore or part of your garden list of things. Just like I always say, go out and look at your plants, look under the leaves for pests, you know, make a routine of it. Make a routine out of tidying up your plants, getting off old spent blooms, getting off some of the older leaves if applicable on the plant, just to keep the garden growing and just to keep looking tidy. Okay, so these look to me so much better. Go back to the beginning of the video and see the difference. I did, like I said, have to sacrifice a few of the blooms that were on here, but for the most part, they look so much better. So I'm just going to water them because they seem a little dry right now. So I'm going to water them up. I just kind of cut them back, try to stay as even as possible, but all of those spent blooms we got off. That was like my initial cut. I just wanted to show you how things turned out with it. They still have some blooms coming on, but I'm telling y'all, this plant at the beginning of spring, once it starts, depending on your zone, they were just so beautiful, just really, really beautiful. I had to work with this cone flower back here because it had all kind of things going on. So I just basically just cut all the way down to the stem on some of them, and then just remove some of those dead leaves that were there. So I just wanted to show you these. I'm gonna go ahead now and go get the other ones and just kind of deadhead and make those look good as well. But deadheading is really important. It's something that you do want to add to your garden regimen to keep everything looking nice and neat and growing, and your plant full of energy. So as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you share this video with your family and your friends, and if you're not a subscriber, go ahead, tap the subscribe button, and make sure you tap the bell so that you can receive notification each and every time we upload a new video. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and until the next video, bye bye.